In Iran, very few have found success playing games for a living or making them for a profit. But some gamers here are trying to change this. And now, they are sharing a common vision. This is their revolution.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
This is Tehran, the capital city of Iran. A busy urban center that's constantly evolving. Over the last 10 years, many aspiring gamers and game makers have relocated here from all over Iran. And they've been working hard to create a gaming scene that they can be proud of. Iran has a population of 70 million. By some estimates, 10 million of them are gamers. And this number is growing every day. A small group of Iranians love the gaming so much, they've tried to create their own local titles. Games that are distinctively Iranian, that they can also share with the rest of the world. All of them started out with very little money, no relevant experience, and hardly any commercial potential. Today, there are about 5 companies here leading the way in game design. One of them is Pouyan Arts. Pouyan Dedgar is the CEO of Pouyan Arts Software Incorporated. He launched this company in 2003 with a grand mission to develop world-class games. He also wanted to change how others saw his country.
When I was in US, even in NASA community, which was a highly educated community, the way they were thinking about Iran was a place with deserts and camels. They think that no technology was there, and they think there were no history and civilization behind that. That kind of bothered me because that was the view of most of the people in US and Western countries. So I was thinking if we could have a game that showed the true nature of our country, our past history and great civilization, that would definitely help people to understand more about Iran.
Pouyan assembled a team of 6 to produce a first-person shooter game in 3D. It was the very first game of its kind in Iran. Ruzbeh Izrabi, an animator with Pouyan Arts today, was part of that team. He remembers how they had created everything from scratch.
We didn't have anything. No good story, no computer game engine, and no concepts.
This didn't stop them. Using their software background, they built their own game engine. 2 years later, with a lot of hard work, Pouyan Arts managed to complete the project. Finally, Quest of Persia, End of Innocence was ready for release. The game combined elements of a first-person shooter game with a dose of driving action.
Quest of Persia 1 story begins with Iran and Iraq war, and because that was an important part in our history, and everybody in our team and everybody who was working on the screenplay felt that the attack of Iraq on Iran was unnoticed all over the world, and nobody really paid attention about the invasion of Saddam back in 80s to our country, and the fact that the Arashk, our main character, says
بالاخره نوبت هر کسی میشه که تو زندگیش جنگو ببینه. هر چی که طی سالها ساخته شده توی یه لحظه خراب میشه. دوستایی رو که سالها میشناختی توی یه لحظه از دست میدی.
And basically we felt that was an important message that we needed to carry out.
PC Zone UK called it Quake 2 dropped on its head in a desert. Pouya was pleased.
Because this game is trying to tell what Land of Persia is all about, we called it Quest of Persia basically. And our hope was being enabled in each game try to go and show one Persian historic site and basically have lots of places that people can experience.
There are others here who share his vision. Pouya has a rival, Khodaee from Iranian Gamers, who has been trying to do something similar. Khodaee has a degree in electrical engineering and an MBA. Like Pouya, he too could have opted for a smoother and more profitable career. But he decided to take up game making instead. 5 years back, Khodaee started Orient Digital Entertainment with some friends.
Because of my background, for example, I have worked both as consultant and manager in different industries. But when I switched to this industry, my salary was 1/3 of my previous salary. But because I was very interested in making games, it was reasonable for me.
Like Quest of Persia from Pouya Arts, Khodae's game is also inspired by Iran's rich history and culture.
Iran has very ancient history and we have many stories, we have many writers has write about that heroes, and that was the initiation of our thinking of how we can use these heroes, these myths and these epics to build some very interesting new games.
Khodaee called his creation the Hero's Heritage. In this adventure game, players get to choose from one of many hero characters drawn from old Persian legends. This will be Iran's first RPG game. It is scheduled for release in 2008. Like Pouya Arts, Khodae's company faced many problems in its early days. But after struggling for 2 years, things changed for better.
After finding the sponsor and we went through game production for a while and we showed that we have the capability to produce professional games, the conditions became better.
Pouya had also approached this source for funding, but he was not successful.
The people who were in charge of giving fundings, they didn't have enough experience about the games. You know, a doctor in computer science doesn't mean that you're mastering gaming. Probably a 14-year-old knows more about gaming than a doctor in computer science.
Khodaee and Pouya have completely different approaches to game making. Pouya's game is closely based on a significant event in Iranian history. Khodaee, in contrast, is more keen to create popular entertainment.
My ambition is to produce some games that are teaching and funny and very light, not dark in the environment, and you feel very happy after playing these games.
Even without this funding, Pouya managed to complete his game. He paid for the project with his own money. He's already working on a sequel, Quest of Persia 2, Lotfali Khan Zan, a third-person sword-fighting game inspired by a famous battle in ancient Persia. It is almost ready to be released. Pouya and Khodaee are facing tough competition. Not just from each other, but from imported LAN games as well. LAN games first appeared in Iran in the mid-90s. Within a decade, it completely changed the gaming landscape here. By 2003, there were an estimated 2,000 game centers in Tehran alone. As LAN games got more popular, gamers came together to form clans and enter competitions. That year, Iran held its own World Cyber Game event for the first time. Game event organizer Ali Galfouri headed the committee for this.
In those days, we didn't have such a big tournament in Iran, and nobody believed that this is a formal WCG that ICM holding the worldwide. And I remember that nobody believed that we're gonna send winners of WCG to participate in Korea in 2003.
The World Cyber Game gave Iranian gamers a rare chance to interact with other players around the world. From here on, more and more casual gamers started training hard to become competitive cyber athletes. Today, there are over 500 clans in Iran and 2,000 gamers actively playing in tournaments. Gaming is no longer just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Ali's friend Reza Babey, another game event organizer, wants this to be the start of a new revolution.
I wish to establish a new gaming event in this region for all the Middle East and make that biggest event in this region.
Reza has been organizing gaming tournaments across Iran. He also manages a group of gamers and hopes to groom them into world-class cyber athletes.
We have the potential to do this in Iran, and I think we can be successful in this mission.
4 years after the first WCG tournament in Iran, a number of star players have emerged. 18-year-old Saman Rashidi, aka VorteX, and Ahson Jalali, aka XioN, are two of the most recognized pro gamers in Iran. They are members of Invincible Gangsters, the #1 Counter-Strike clan here.
While he was in the IG clan, he has too many victories. In his opinion, he had 90% of their competitions with the winning.
There are less than 20 female pro gamers in Iran who are actively trying to break into the competition circuit. 22-year-old Maral Afsharian is one of them. She has been selected by a game committee to attend the second Asian indoor game in Macau, where she will compete as a cyber athlete. If she wins a medal, it will be the first for female players from Iran. These are the stars of the Iranian gaming scene, but none of them play the titles made in their own country. One reason is that Iranian games lack the same production values that the imported titles have.
I like fast cars and big Hollywood star action because they're exciting.
In Iran, there are conservative views about how women should behave. In order to pursue her passion, Maral had to go against tradition.
It's very strange for others to see a female playing games in Iran, because girls in Iran, well, don't do such a thing. But for me, well, I don't care what others think about it, but I like it, and I want to take part in competitions, and I want to play games.
Playing games is her way of escaping from all that.
I like playing games because there are some impossible things that you can't do in your real life, but you can do it in games. And, you know, it's exciting for me.
Like most other gamers here, Maral grew up playing imported titles and has stuck with them.
The first thing that I can remember is Max Payne. It was my very favorite game when I was 15, I think. I don't play Iranian games because, well, their quality is not very good, and it's important to me.
Iranian game makers are working hard to impress local gamers like Maral. The but given their resources, it's hard to match the quality of the imported titles. Pouyan's first game, Quest of Persia 1 End of Innocence, received some positive reviews, but the local gaming community was expecting a lot more.
Because we were under a low budget and tight schedule, we had to deliver on a date that we scheduled from day one. And when our testers test the game, there were parts of the game that they felt that we need to work more on those parts, make it work better. And if at that time we could do that stuff, of course it would help a lot. And Quest of Persia 1 could be much better than what it came out right now. When we released Quest of Persia, based on the trailers and other screenshots that we had out, Iranian gamers, some of them, they were looking for something really close to big budget games in overseas. And PC Zone's rated us was more like in the level of Quake 2. So basically, when this game came out, some of the gamers who didn't knew enough about the game, they had expectation more than what Quest of Persia 1 could deliver.
This time around, for the sequel, Pouyan has a bold plan. He will organize a demo event to introduce his new game, Quest of Persia 2. And he will invite some prominent members of local gaming community to share their views at this event.
Well, the important thing about the games is people who play the games mostly are young people. We want to know which part of the gameplays works with the audience and which parts doesn't work. We need to ask the audience if the technical level is good enough for them to actually go and buy this game, because this game we're going to sell it in much higher price, and for this one we're hoping that it can pay off some of the money that we spend on this one.
Pouyan and his team have worked really hard to develop Quest of Persia 2. Still, they know their critics will be comparing this title with many big budget games from top publishers in the world. If Pouyan can impress them, they will realize that Iranian games are worth supporting. Meanwhile, game event organizers Reza and Ali are sending out their own invitations. They're staging a Counter-Strike tournament and inviting the best clans from all over Iran. There has not been a big event like this for 3 years. Reza and Ali feels it's up to them to do something. Iran today is a country steeped in conservative traditions. But its capital, Tehran, is also a bustling, high-tech city with a large network of LAN centers. In under a decade, 2,000 such centers have opened up. LAN centers here are known as game nets. They played a big role in developing the competitive gaming scene in Iran. They helped bring together game clans like the Invincible Gangsters and the game event organizers like Ali and Reza. The very first LAN center in Iran was set up by Pejman Lilabadi. He called the place GameNet. Pejman's first LAN game center had 7 computers, each with 128 megabytes of RAM. The LAN connection speed was 1 megabyte per second.
I remember when we played Counter-Strike, the frame rate of the game was maybe 10 to 15. And if you had a smoke grenade, the frame rate goes down to 1 frame or 2 frames. It wasn't the LAN speed. The problem was with the CPU and the graphic card system. But these days we have a lot of new and improved things for computer, and frame rate is for Counter-Strike is more than 100%. And that's the problem in those days. But still, with those problems, we had a lot of fun in those days.
One of Pejman's childhood friends was WCG organizer Ali Galfori.
The reason most of my friends playing games these days, it was because of me. I introduced them to computer games when I was a little.
Pejman was a cyber boy. I believe in him. Most of the time he was playing cyber games, Commodore 64, Amiga 500, whatever you can think. And because I was his friend, soon he influenced me and I became a gamer too.
Ali learned to share Pejman's passion for the game, and this changed his life. When Counter-Strike was launched in Iran, Pejman and Ali realized that it had the potential to take the Iranian gaming scene to new heights. Today, over 80% of the gamers in Iran are big fans of the game.
Counter-Strike means a whole life to them. I know some gamers that spend all their lives to be a professional gamer and spend all their money and their time to training and go advance to be a hardcore gamer. I think this is the only computer game that contains all aspects of the sports, electronic sports. For example, you need a tight cooperation, teamwork to be a successful man. You need accuracy, speed, and skills and experience to be a professional gamer in this game.
In 2004, Iranian gaming scene finally took off.
Well, WC 2004, it was the best WCG held in my business. Actually, it was the last WCG that consists Counter-Strike event. It was very, very exciting. I remember all people who was there. That was very unforgettable about the 2004. But after that, unfortunately, we didn't have CS anymore.
Later that year, the Iranian government decided to ban the Counter-Strike as a competitive game. This decision shocked the gaming community. Many were disappointed.
When government banned CS, we felt terrible. It was unbelievable, you know. Counter-Strike was all we've got, you know.
The gamers never really understood the real reasons for the ban.
This is to the high rate of violence in the game, and maybe some parents didn't like the children to spend all their time in the game nets for playing Counter-Strike.
With this ban, gamers could still play Counter-Strike on their own, but they could no longer organize official events or enter an international tournament.
Before this banning, there were too many international preliminary events in Iran, such as ESWC or WCG. But no, after this banning, so many gamers quit from Counter-Strike, and also we missed them. Also, so many teams are not serious right now because really there is no clear target for them for playing Counter-Strike.
After banning Counter-Strike, we lost a whole generation of gamers. If I want to mention the number, they should be about 300.
There was no way to tell if the ban will ever be lifted. But Reza is not giving up.
My main mission right now is to solve the problem for Counter-Strike and help the community to unban this game and show the government that this is not a very major problem with this game and bring this game to the major competitions and events once again.
Iranian gamers are also starting younger. In 2005, 3-year-old Amin Golnam became the youngest gamer to play in a World Cyber Games tournament. He didn't win any matches at the event in Iran, but he still made headlines all over the world. Pouyan Dadgar and his team at Pouyan Arts are working hard to launch their own game, Quest of Persia 2. Quest of Persia 1 was a good attempt, but it failed to excite the Iranian gaming community. Now Pouyan is back with an improved sequel, which he calls Lotfali Khan Zand. Pouyan's team will be holding an official preview session soon to show this to some members of local gaming community.
One thing which is different in this one from the Quest of Persia 1 is that their expectation is kind of low. From Quest of Persia 1, the expectation from trailer was very high, and some of the people who didn't know enough about the game, they expected something close to the world-class games. In this one, they saw our last game, and now in this one, they wouldn't think that in 2 years we achieved so much. So we're hoping by seeing all that, they would really like what they see, and they see that in a couple of years we can reach the level of world-class games.
Pouyan and his team dream of producing the first Iranian game that can compare favorably with the best of the international titles. But given his circumstances, this will be very difficult.
The fact that computers that we have here, the hardwares that we have here, is not as good as what you will see in professional game companies, of course it's going to affect the work, no doubt about it. Even though for the animations, usually we need to use these computers that we have, which hasn't built for rendering, but we use it as a rendering tool. And this is not going to, and this doesn't have a good effect on what we were having, basically, because some of the time, these computers hasn't been designed to be running all the time. The fan will go down, the CPU will go down, and all these kind of problems. But that's all we can do. We need to use our resources at best in order to get close to what world has to offer.
But the team is driven by a common vision. This keeps them focused and motivated.
Since we were really interested in finishing this game and finishing it really good, what we had to do was each of us had to do works of a couple of people, and basically each one of us has to take job of 3, 4 or maybe more people in order to try to achieve the quality of the games and being able to be a competitor of games overseas.
I have a great team. So basically, when you have a great team, you can always overcome the problems, and you would be able to basically do things that when first you look might seem impossible.
Everyone is gonna be interested. This game is fully Iranian game, and it's a good Iranian game. And basically, this game will focus